for joining us for Your Voice, Your Stories. I'm Cara Burnett. Each week we're focusing on issues that impact your community and highlighting the people working to make our neighborhoods better. Here's what we got for you tonight.
Checks and money orders stolen after they were mailed at 2 local post offices. We have copies of the forged documents and asked USPS what they're doing about it.
The pros and cons of proposed legislation, which would keep solicitors from approaching victims at active fire scenes here in Baltimore.
But first, no consequences, no changed behavior. A Baltimore nonprofit is exposing how drivers with out-of-state license plates are getting away with speeding on our roads and not paying citations.
A bike safety advocacy group here in Baltimore identified the city's top super speeders and found that many of them have repeatedly gotten caught in the same spot, but have gotten away without paying their tickets. The speed limit sign says photo enforced, but these cameras can only do so much. They can easily catch speeding drivers, but making them pay up is another story.
I think it was most surprising to me is just the amount of unpaid violations that we have and the lack of recovery the city really has, like the ability for the city to recover those fines.
Jed Weeks, executive director for the local advocacy organization Baltimore, analyzed publicly available data from Baltimore's automated enforcement system. His team found that in 2024, just 10 of the city's, quote, super speeders were responsible for about 1,100 speeding tickets and more than $80,000 in unpaid tickets. The top 5 and 6 of the 10 have Virginia tags. Most of the super speeders had been caught at the same location dozens of times. One driver racking up 75 tickets, that's about $3,000, at just one camera along the Jones Falls Expressway.
You just have this small subset of folks that just don't care. They've broken the social contract. They're willing to just be completely reckless. And those are the folks who really need to target for enforcement.
We took a look at the data ourselves and found that about 86% of speeding tickets for Virginia-tagged vehicles went unpaid in 2024. Virginia allows people to register their cars there even if they don't live in the state. A big incentive for Marylanders to do that used to be because Virginia didn't require drivers to get insurance. The state changed that law last summer. Still, incentives remain for those who want to bypass emissions inspections or avoid paying traffic citations.
We do not have reciprocity with Virginia, and so, a Maryland tag, if you go to, get your tag renewed or your registration renewed, if you've not paid those fines, you're going to need to pay those fines before you can register your car again. But in Virginia, they can just keep re-registering their car without paying those fines.
The Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration says the out-of-state plate problem is costing the state millions in lost revenue. And Jed Weeks is concerned the lack of accountability for speeding drivers could also cost lives. The cameras are only triggered when someone is driving 12 miles an hour above the speed limit. In a school zone, that means the driver is traveling about 40 miles an hour or more.
The cameras are basically triggering at where it becomes fatal for a pedestrian in a crash. And so, we set a pretty high threshold, and the threshold is death.
State delegates in the House tried to pass legislation this year to increase penalties and enforcement for drivers with out-of-state plates, like towing the non-compliant vehicle, but it never made it out of committee. In Baltimore, Elizabeth Worthington, WMAR 2 News.
Several USPS customers told us their checks and money orders went missing in the mail. They didn't trust putting them in these community collection boxes, so they took them directly to the post office, and still their mail was tampered with. They now suspect the theft is happening from within, and they want investigators to do more.
The thefts happened at these 2 post offices to 3 different customers within a few weeks of each other.
The amount was changed.
John Curtis's $323 insurance payment turned into $900 for equipment. Darlene McLean's money orders for her mortgage and BJ's credit card rewritten and cashed by a stranger. And Angela Powell's $420 payment to her insurance company altered to $6,250, supposedly for a college fund.
They took my check from Windsor Mill Post Office to CQ Bank in a matter of 24 hours.
You can see it on the timestamp. Angela mailed her check on March 5th. By March 6th, it had been washed, rewritten, and deposited.
They were able to withdraw $500 off a forged check.
While Angela went to this drive-up box, John Curtis went inside.
I parked right there in the handicap spot, went inside, the doors at there, went to the left, then walked in.
Despite it being physically difficult for him, he brought the check to this inside slot to evade mail thieves.
I put my policy number on the bottom all of that was gone.
He had to close his bank account, open a new one, and reroute other deposits and payments.
I'm sure you have other things going on that you didn't need to.
Yeah, much so. You know, my wife, she being sick, and plus I'm, you know, in and out of the hospital. But I took a lot of our time away from what we, you know, normally be doing.
And while Angela and John were reimbursed by their banks, Darlene hasn't been able to recoup the 2 stolen money orders she mailed on different days at the Arlington post office in Dolefield.
I'm without money, mortgage not paid, and now they're coming after me. I'm suffering from it. I'm depressed behind it. I can't sleep. I'm really upset.
We contacted USPS. They said they take the security of mail seriously and promptly refer mail theft allegations to law enforcement agencies, like the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. They told us the theft of mail and ensuring the sanctity of the U.S. mail stream is of the utmost priority, and they encourage customers to mail their checks from inside the post office. And we also contacted the USPS Office of the Inspector General in charge of investigating internal mail theft complaints. They do not confirm active investigations, but said the information we supplied will be reviewed by their office and to report check theft through their OIG hotline.
I spoke to a lot of people, and they all tell me that they can't tell me anything about the investigation.
These customers are now making changes to their payments.
I now write my checks with black magic markers.
But they don't think they're the problem.
I'll put it this way. When you sleep, crooks are here looking for ways to take your money or steal from you.
So I can't mail anything without being in fear of someone taking what's inside my personal belongings, because it's still mine. Just because it's going through the postal service, it's still mine. You have no right to go in my mail and take out what's in it, and they still have one of my checks to this day.
The U.S. Postal Inspection Service recently increased their monetary rewards. They're now offering up to $100,000 for information regarding mail theft that leads to the arrest and conviction of those responsible. Mallory Safaste, WMAR 2 News.
The pros and cons of proposed legislation, which would keep solicitors from approaching victims at active fire scenes here in Baltimore. Some people perished in the fire on Keswick Road back in October, and others, like Jeremy Olson, barely made it out of their homes alive.
I left my house in my underwear with my mother-in-law over my shoulder.
The smoke had barely cleared from his lungs when Olson says his family was victimized for a second time.
And a gentleman came over, hovering over my family with a card saying, "We can help you." Felt the timing was terrible. I felt disrespected. I felt my family was disrespected. Like, give me some space to breathe.
City Councilwoman Odette Ramos witnessed a similar incident at the same scene, and now she's co-sponsored legislation to give victims that breathing room by restricting access to active scenes by emergency mitigation businesses.
What this does is it just simply says when the fire department is there and the scene is established, no unauthorized people can go in.
Those who violate the exclusion zone could be subject to $500 fines and up to 90 days in jail. Ironically, opponents of the proposed measures say something meant to try to protect fire victims could actually hurt them when they go to file claims with their insurance. They argue most policies require the homeowner to secure their homes to prevent further loss.
I mean, I've seen it from time to time where a homeowner wasn't there, we couldn't get in touch with them. And by the time they found out about a fire, they were on a vacation, everything, half their stuff was going,
Or extra damage, whatever the case may be.
Oh, of course, yeah. Mold grows in 24 to 48 hours.
Proponents of the measure say it would be up to the fire incident commander to determine just how long the businesses must wait before approaching victims to offer their services. In North Baltimore, Jeff Hager, WMAR 2 News.
You're watching WMAR 2 News, part of the Scripps News Group.
Welcome back. The power of thrifting and the love of all things old and new is at the heart of a woman-owned shop in Ellicott City. Plus, a hidden gem in Havre de Grace, which has been a best-kept secret. But first, a program giving entrepreneurs a helping hand.
Regular manicures are part of Ashley Johnson's beauty routine. She grew frustrated, though, by the customer service she and her friends were getting at salons.
It was very unsanitary conditions, subpar treatment when it comes to quality and the services that we got, and I feel like where I spend my money should reflect who I am as an individual.
So Ashley took matters into her own hands, literally. After being laid off during the pandemic, she went to nail tech school and opened her own shop, Kazan Beauty. First as a mobile salon, then in her home, and now a storefront, thanks to the Downtown Partnerships Boost program.
I'd always known about Boost, but I thought it was geared towards bigger, more established business in my mind. And I think a lot of times, especially as Black women, we don't apply to things unless we think that we're 100% qualified, and we overthink the process a lot.
The Boost program gives grants to existing Black-owned and operated businesses to move into retail space in the heart of Baltimore. Ashley is in Boost's newest cohort.
They let me know that I was at a stage where I was ready to expand, and I did not really have access to a lot of traditional funding opportunities, so Boost really came through for me.
She's already leased a space here in the old F&D building on North Charles Street, a vacant office building being converted into apartments and retail space. She's got great vision for these bare walls.
Then there'll be pedicure stations probably against this wall over here, and the manicure stations over here.
In the new shop, she'll be able to offer other beauty services, hire staff, and start an apprenticeship program.
Where underserved people from especially Black communities are able to get the training, both technical skills and soft skills, that we need in order to change the face of what the beauty industry looks like.
Kazan Beauty is slated to open in September. In Baltimore, Maria Morales, WMAR2 News.
Unlocking the past and creating a future. I'm Sayura Williams, and a business in Howard County is showing how every antique has a story. From bowls and plates, to cups and containers. There's nostalgia and history in every piece.
We source everything from 1900s all the way up to the 2000s, which wildly are now considered vintage.
Twin Thrift Vintage, located in Ellicott City, is a collector's dream, specifically co-founder Allie and Jordan Burden's dream.
Everything from pottery to mid-century glass to uranium glass that lights up. So anything that sparks joy or makes us smile or that we love.
You can thrift at the shop. Find vintage items that date back centuries and a set of twins.
Jordan and I are identical twins.
And siblings that respect some sense of seniority. Older by a minute?
Yes.
Do you take advantage of that?
All the time.
Antiques are where the past becomes present. For the sisters, the passion comes from two important women.
Jordan and I grew up antiquing and sourcing with my mom and my grandmother.
Their love for sustainability and affordability started when they were children.
So we were exposed to all of our grandmother Nani's treasures that she had. She had a giant cabinet with anything that you could think of to look at. She had a big display case of all of her treasures she gathered from around the world.
You can see some of those treasures displayed proudly in the shop.
I wish I had some of her creativity.
Like their mother's upcycled work.
My mom, who was an artist, she would paint, she would repurpose and reuse items, vintage items and antique items, and find new homes and new ways to use them.
They hope to share this love for thrifting with the community and to pass it down for generations to come.
The legacy of my mom and my grandmother and their love of showing us that, older pieces can be beautiful and can be brought into modernity is something that we hope to show other generations, especially the younger generations coming up.
And if you think thrifting isn't for you, Allie says you have to give it time to find a timeless piece.
But I think vintage is for everybody. It's maybe just learning a little bit more about what you like and what colors and textures and bringing that into your home.
Owners say the best part about thrifting is finding the beauty in vintage with your twin.
Spend time together. The older you get, the harder it is to find these pockets of time to spend. So this is a way, naturally, that we get to spend a lot of time together. I agree. +1.
And if you're unable to make it to the shop, Twin Thrift Vintage will be out in the community showing off some of these antiques. You can find their events on our website at WMAR2news.com. But for now, in Howard County, Sayura Williams, WMAR2 News.
For beekeepers like Raymond Vigliotti,
they got moisture in the hive and then it got cold again.
Loss is part of the job.
A lot of them probably just froze to death.
But this year's losses for beekeepers across the country is the highest it's been since 2010. In a nationwide survey, beekeepers are reporting colony losses averaging at 62%, with approximately 1.1 million honeybee colonies gone.
The beekeepers, especially the commercial guys, they're in crisis right now.
With keepers across the country feeling the sting.
A good friend in New York who has 700 hives lost 500 this year. I can't imagine that. He's got 200 hives left out of 700.
At this time, there isn't any word on what has caused the die-off.
Some people are saying the chemicals, the pesticides, loss of habitat. There's a lot of reasons, but and also this varroa mite also carries different diseases that they spread throughout the colonies.
And it could be years before the cause is known. In the meantime, losses could impact honeybee production, crop yields, and economic losses for Maryland's agriculture industry, which contributes $4.7 billion in output to the state's economy. The loss of the bees here impacts the economies in other states as well.
The commercial beekeepers that are losing 16-70% of their hive, they take their hives to California, to Florida, the almond crop everybody speaks of, the oranges in Florida. Without the bees, an acre of land, you get 5,000 pounds of almond. With the bees pollinating these crops, you'll get 50,000 from that acre. So without the bees, your crop totals are going to be way down this year.
In the face of it all, Vigliotti is looking on the bright side.
Most the big keepers are losing well over 50% of their hives now. So I feel pretty lucky that we've only lost maybe 25% of our hives.
This is the first time that large companies have experienced more colony loss than small farmers and hobbyists, according to the survey. In Westminster, Linnea Hoover, WMAR 2 News.
Maryland has a lot of beauty, but there has been one hidden gem in Havre de Grace that has been a best-kept secret. I'm Janae Wright, and in a few weeks, this field will be in full bloom with beautiful peonies.
This one won't amount to much.
Chris Scholes was able to get a hold of some peonies from a neighbor almost 15 years ago.
This is about 45.
He learned how to plant and take care of the peonies, and during the pandemic, he opened his land to the public for people to visit the beautiful flowers.
The first year, I think we had 25 or 26 people, and he made the website, and the next year we had about 100 and something, and it's just grown. And I think we're up to our 5th or 6th year.
He says over time he's enjoyed sharing the beauty with people who come to visit, and over the years he's even gotten different types of peonies, from Festiva Maxima to Madame Emile.
But the thing that makes me happy is when I see everybody out here and the flowers are blooming and there are just lots of smiles. That's worth the money of the investment I've made. So that's one thing.
Schultz says as he expands his peony garden, he enjoys having people come by and take pictures and even take some home.
They bloom, like you say, for such a short period of time. Take them with you. They're so early that they got damaged by frost.
They not only bloom for a short time, but the time they bloom depends on the weather.
It could get cold again. It could, and when I say cold, like 40, 50 degree nights, rainy, 50, 60 degree days, and then that kind of just slows them down.
But he says they should be ready in May. Schultz says this year he also wants to let people pre-select a type of peony they would like to take with them in the off-season to grow on their own.
You put a stake at the one you like, and then come back and see me in the fall. We find your stake and we dig them up. So that's something new we're going to try.
He's also looking to expand his garden overall, adding more plants than just peonies.
We've started a bunch of sunflowers. So later on, summer, we're going to have sunflowers. And then hopefully over where the goats were, make a place for pumpkins. And then out in that lower field, I've got a bunch of wildflower seeds. And I want to make like a wildflower area.
And these fields are expected to start blooming ahead of Mother's Day. In Havre de Grace, Janae Wright, WMAR 2 News.
Follow WMAR 2 News on social media for daily content. Like WMAR 2 News on Facebook.
I'm Jack Watson at Johns Hopkins. You can do anything you set your mind to, and the great minds here at the Homewood campus are up to a lot.
It's really easy to replicate, really easy to operate on.
And I think that's something that the Orioles are looking for.
When you get a call from the O's, you pick up. And these two Hopkins students stepped up to the plate.
We'll provide them a better way, a much quicker way to kind of build the profile for the bat as you get all the bat's dimensions and diameters.
Moneyball, torpedo bats, and now the invention from Xiaojian Sun and Kevin Wu, measuring bats with computers faster and better to modify them for the best outcome at the dish.
You just took a photo on your iPhone, and within minutes, within seconds, you can just get the result.
At the Hopkins Homewood campus, there aren't many times you'd want to be inside on a beautiful day. This is one of them. Design Day for the Whiting School of Engineering. In here, over 200 answers to real-life questions, some down here on Earth, others up in the stars.
I'm definitely tired because this has been a hectic last couple of days, but it's very rewarding to see that we were able to get our prototype to work.
For Jacob Hammond and John Exupernaut, this is the culmination of a lot of sleepless nights. An asteroid mining grinder.
The dust we're looking to achieve is about the same grain size as flour, so it's super fine. And if you can imagine, turning a rock into flour is no easy feat in about a foot of space.
This test rig ensures the system does not rely on gravity to feed the grinder. It's out of this world, physically and otherwise, with practical uses in outer space.
These are semester-long or year-long projects with spectacular results.
Science may help the O's woes this year, and designs all over this room may launch us all into the future someday. We'll be able to say it happened right here in Baltimore. At Johns Hopkins, Jack Watson, WMAR2 News.
If you have stories you'd like us to cover, we want to hear from you. You can email us at storyideas@wmar.com. And that's going to do it. Thanks for joining us tonight. Be sure to tune in again next week for your voice, your stories.